beneath the emerald canopy of Guatemala's rainforest, where howler monkeys scream through the dawn and ancient ceiba trees pierce the sky like cathedral spires, something extraordinary has been hiding in plain sight. For over 1,000 years, the towering limestone pyramids of Tikal have watched over the jungle in silence, their secrets locked beneath tons of carved stone and centuries of tangled roots. But in 2024, that silence was finally broken. A team of international researchers, armed with technology that can see through solid rock, made a discovery that has left the archaeological world stunned. Using advanced seismic imaging, a technique that sends sound waves deep into the earth and reads the echoes that bounce back, they found something that shouldn't exist. Hidden beneath the most sacred Maya temples, extending far deeper than anyone thought possible, lies a vast network of chambers, corridors, and structures that completely rewrite our understanding of Maya civilization. We're not talking about a few small rooms or forgotten storage spaces. The scans revealed an entire underground world. Massive halls carved from solid bedrock, intricate passageways that stretch for hundreds of meters, and chambers so large they could house modern aircraft. Some of these hidden spaces descend over 200 feet below the jungle floor, deeper than a 20-story building is tall. And here's the thing that has everyone asking questions. These aren't natural caves or accidental voids. The geometry is too perfect, the alignment's too precise. Someone built this, someone designed it. And then, for reasons we can't yet understand, someone sealed it away from history. Tonight, we're going deep, not just into the technical breakthrough that made this discovery possible, but into the implications that are sending shockwaves through everything we thought we knew about the ancient Maya. Because what's hiding beneath these temples isn't just changing our understanding of their engineering capabilities. It's forcing us to confront a possibility that mainstream archaeology has been reluctant to consider. That Maya civilization was far more advanced, far more complex, and far more mysterious than we ever imagined. My name is Alex, and on this channel, we explore the hidden layers of human history, the discoveries that challenge established narratives, and the technologies that let us see the past in ways previous generations never could. If you're fascinated by archaeological breakthroughs, ancient mysteries, and the cutting-edge science that's rewriting our textbooks, you're in exactly the right place. And what I'm about to share with you over the next several videos is going to change how you think about the Maya forever. But before we dive into these incredible chambers and what they might contain, we need to understand how this discovery even became possible. Because the technology that revealed these hidden spaces represents a revolution in archaeology, one that's allowing us to explore ancient sites without disturbing a single stone. The breakthrough came through something called high-resolution seismic tomography. Think of it as an underground MRI for archaeological sites. The process works by creating controlled vibrations, either through small explosive charges or specialized equipment that thumps the ground with precise force. These vibrations travel through the earth as sound waves, and when they encounter different materials, solid rock, empty spaces, water, or buried structures, they bounce back at different speeds and intensities. By placing hundreds of ultra-sensitive sensors around a site and measuring these returning sound waves from multiple angles, researchers can build three-dimensional maps of everything hidden beneath the surface. It's the same principle that lets geologists map oil deposits miles underground, or helps engineers assess the stability of building foundations. But applied to archaeology, it becomes something almost magical, a way to see through time itself. The Maya sites presented unique challenges for this technology. Unlike the desert locations where similar techniques have been used, the rainforest environment creates layers of interference. The dense root systems, varying soil composition, and high water table all affect how sound waves travel. It took years of calibration and refinement before the team could achieve the resolution needed to distinguish between natural geological features and human-made structures. Dr. Sarah Chen, the geophysicist who led the seismic analysis, described the moment when the first clear images emerged from the data. She told me, "We were expecting maybe some small chambers, perhaps evidence of water management systems. What we got back was impossible to ignore. Geometric patterns that couldn't be natural, spaces that were clearly designed and constructed. It was like discovering an entire city that had been hiding beneath our feet." The initial scans focused on 3 major temple complexes at Tikal. Temple 4, the tallest pre-Columbian structure in the Americas. Temple of the Grand Jaguar, and the lesser-known complex Q. What they found beneath each site followed similar patterns, but with stunning variations in scale and complexity. Beneath Temple 4, the data revealed what appears to be a central shaft descending straight down from the base of the pyramid. This shaft, perfectly circular and approximately 12 feet in diameter, drops over 150 feet before opening into a large chamber. From this central chamber, corridors branch out in 6 directions, creating a pattern that mirrors the sacred geometry found in Maya astronomical calculations. The precision is remarkable. The angles between corridors correspond exactly to the Maya's sophisticated understanding of celestial movements. But it was beneath the Temple of the Grand Jaguar that the truly mind-bending discoveries emerged. The seismic data showed not just chambers, but what can only be described as a multi-level complex. The first level sits about 30 feet below the temple's foundation, accessible through what appears to be a sealed entrance hidden within the pyramid's base. But that's just the beginning. A second level, even larger than the first, extends 80 feet down. And below that, the scans detected a third level, a massive space that the research team has dubbed the Great Hall. This Great Hall is unlike anything previously discovered in Maya archaeology. The chamber measures roughly 300 feet in length, 150 feet in width, and reaches heights of nearly 40 feet. To put that in perspective, it's larger than most medieval cathedrals. The acoustic properties alone would be extraordinary, a space where a whisper from one end could be heard clearly at the other, where ceremonial chants would create reverberations that could last for minutes. The third site, Complex Q, revealed perhaps the most intriguing pattern of all. Rather than the vertical shaft and chamber design found beneath the other temples, this location showed evidence of an extensive horizontal network. Tunnels stretch out from a central hub, extending in multiple directions for distances that the current scans can't fully measure. Some corridors appear to terminate in small chambers. Others connect to what might be underground plazas or gathering spaces. One tunnel, based on its direction and depth, might even connect to the underground systems beneath Temple 4, over half a mile away. The implications of this discovery are staggering. If these underground networks truly connect multiple temple complexes, it suggests a level of planning and coordination that challenges our understanding of Maya society. We're not just looking at individual temples with hidden chambers. We might be looking at an integrated underground city that spans the entire ceremonial center of Tikal. But here's where the story takes an even more dramatic turn. The seismic data didn't just reveal empty spaces. In several locations, the scans detected what appear to be objects, large, geometrically regular forms that don't match the natural stone of the surrounding chambers. Some are rectangular, suggesting stone blocks or carved monuments. Others show more complex shapes that could be sculptures, altars, or artifacts we can't yet identify. In the Great Hall beneath the Temple of the Grand Jaguar, one object stands out from all the rest. The seismic signature suggests a massive stone structure positioned at the exact center of the chamber. Its dimensions, roughly 20 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 8 feet tall, and its placement suggest it was the focal point of whatever activities took place in this hidden space. The research team has begun referring to it as the central monolith. Though its true nature remains completely unknown, the dating of these structures presents another puzzle. Traditional Maya temples at Tikal were built in phases over several centuries, with the major constructions occurring during the Classic period between 200 and 900 CE. but the underground chambers show characteristics that don't match this timeline. The construction techniques visible in the seismic data, particularly the precision of the carved chambers and the sophistication of the geometric layouts, suggest engineering capabilities that exceed what we previously attributed to the Maya of that era. Dr. Chen's team has identified tool marks preserved in the stone that indicate the use of advanced cutting techniques. The chamber walls show a smoothness and uniformity that would be challenging to achieve even with modern equipment. The corners are perfectly square, the angles precise to within degrees that suggest not just skilled craftsmanship, but mathematical calculation of the highest order. This level of precision raises uncomfortable questions for traditional Maya archaeology. How did a civilization that we believe lacked metal tools, wheeled vehicles, and advanced mathematics create underground chambers that rival modern engineering projects? The answer might force us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about Maya technological capabilities, but the mysteries don't end with the construction techniques. The seismic data has also revealed something that has left the research team baffled: evidence of what appears to be sophisticated water management within the underground complex. Channel systems, possibly lined with stone, seem to direct water flow between chambers. In some areas, the scans suggest the presence of underground pools or reservoirs. Water has always been central to Maya civilization. Their cities were built around complex systems of reservoirs, canals, and drainage that allowed them to thrive in an environment of extreme seasonal variation. But the underground water systems revealed by the seismic scans go far beyond anything previously discovered. They suggest not just practical water storage, but possibly ceremonial or ritual uses that we can barely begin to understand. The symbolic importance of water in Maya cosmology adds another layer to this mystery. The Maya believed that the underworld, Xibalba, was accessed through caves and cenotes, the natural sinkholes that provided access to underground water systems. Could these hidden chambers beneath Tikal represent a constructed version of Xibalba? A sacred underworld created not by the gods, but by human hands. As word of these discoveries has spread through the archaeological community, the reactions have been intense and divided. Conservative archaeologists urge caution, pointing out that seismic data, no matter how sophisticated, can be misinterpreted. They argue that what looks like constructed chambers might be natural cave systems, that the geometric patterns could be coincidental, and that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. But others see in these scans evidence of what they've long suspected, that Maya civilization was far more advanced than conventional archaeology has been willing to acknowledge. Dr. Maria Santos, a Maya specialist at the University of Mexico, told me, "These discoveries align with patterns we've been noticing for years. Evidence of sophisticated engineering, astronomical knowledge, and social organization that doesn't fit our traditional models. The seismic data might finally be giving us the proof we need to completely revise our understanding of Maya capabilities." The debate has been further intensified by the discovery's timing. In recent years, LiDAR surveys of Maya sites have revealed massive cities hidden beneath jungle canopy, forcing archaeologists to dramatically increase their estimates of Maya population and territorial control. Now, the seismic discoveries suggest that even these revised estimates might be conservative, that Maya civilization operated on scales of complexity we're only beginning to comprehend. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of these underground chambers isn't their size or sophistication, it's their apparent abandonment. The seismic data shows no evidence of forced entry, no signs of collapse or destruction. Instead, the chambers appear to have been deliberately sealed, their entrances carefully concealed beneath layers of stone and earth. Whatever happened in these spaces, whoever used them, the decision to close them off seems to have been intentional. This deliberate concealment raises the most tantalizing question of all. What were the Maya trying to hide? What was so important that it required construction of these massive underground chambers, yet so sensitive that it ultimately had to be buried and forgotten? The answers to these questions might lie in understanding not just what these chambers contained, but when they were sealed and why. The evidence for deliberate concealment becomes even more compelling when we examine the methods used to seal these chambers. Unlike natural cave-ins or gradual burial processes, the seismic data reveals carefully constructed barriers, layers of precisely fitted stone blocks that would have required significant effort and planning to install. In some locations, the team detected what appeared to be false walls, designed to make sealed passages look like solid rock to anyone who might discover them accidentally. This level of concealment suggests something far more significant than simple abandonment. Dr. Chen's analysis indicates that the sealing process likely took place over a short period of time, possibly within a single generation. The uniformity of the sealing techniques across multiple sites implies coordination, a systematic effort to close off the entire underground network simultaneously. But why would a civilization invest so much energy in hiding their own achievements? The answer might lie in understanding the political and social upheaval that marked the end of the Maya Classic period. Around 900 CE, many Maya cities experienced what archaeologists call the Classic Maya Collapse, a period of political fragmentation, population decline, and the abandonment of major ceremonial centers. Traditional theories attribute this collapse to factors like warfare, environmental degradation, or social unrest. But the discovery of these sealed underground chambers suggests another possibility, that the Maya deliberately concealed critical aspects of their civilization to protect them from conquest, destruction, or misuse by rival groups or future invaders. Consider the strategic implications of such a decision. If these chambers contained sacred artifacts, astronomical instruments, or repositories of knowledge, sealing them would ensure their preservation even if the surface cities fell to enemies. It would be a kind of cultural insurance policy, hiding the most valuable aspects of Maya civilization until a time when they could safely be recovered. This theory gains support from Maya oral traditions that speak of sacred objects and knowledge being hidden during times of crisis. The Popol Vuh, the Quiche Maya creation text, contains references to wisdom being concealed beneath the earth to protect it from those who would use it wrongly. Similar themes appear in the prophecies of Chilam Balam, which speak of a time when hidden knowledge would be revealed to restore Maya greatness. The seismic scans have also revealed something that might support these oral traditions, evidence of what appear to be carefully arranged objects within the sealed chambers. The geometric regularity of these forms suggests they weren't simply abandoned, but deliberately positioned. In the Great Hall beneath the Temple of the Grand Jaguar, the central monolith isn't alone. Surrounding it are smaller objects arranged in patterns that mirror Maya astronomical alignments. Dr. Santos believes these arrangements might represent a kind of three-dimensional codex, information encoded not in written glyphs, but in the spatial relationships between objects. She explains, "The Maya were masters of recording information in multiple formats. We know they used bark paper, stone monuments, and ceramic vessels. But what if they also used the arrangement of objects in sacred spaces as a form of record keeping? The underground chambers might be libraries we simply don't know how to read yet." This possibility is particularly intriguing when we consider the sophistication of Maya mathematics and astronomy. Their calculations of planetary cycles, eclipse predictions, and calendar systems demonstrate intellectual achievements that rival modern astronomy. If such knowledge was encoded in the arrangement of objects within these chambers, we might be looking at one of the most important intellectual treasures in human history. But accessing this potential treasure presents unprecedented challenges. The chambers lie beneath some of the most important archaeological sites in the Americas, protected by layers of Maya construction and centuries of jungle growth. Any attempt to reach them physically would require massive excavation projects that could potentially damage or destroy the very temples that make Tekal a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The research team has begun exploring alternative approaches. Advanced robotics might allow access through small boreholes, preserving the integrity of the surface structures, while enabling exploration of the chambers below. Ground-penetrating radar could provide additional detail about the objects detected in the seismic scans, and new developments in acoustic analysis might even allow researchers to map the internal structure of sealed objects without physically accessing them. Meanwhile, the implications of the discovery continue to ripple through academic circles. Graduate students are rewriting dissertations to incorporate the possibility of extensive underground Maya architecture. Museum exhibitions are being redesigned to reflect the new understanding of Maya engineering capabilities, and funding agencies are suddenly very interested in proposals for advanced archaeological imaging technologies. The discovery has also attracted attention from unexpected quarters. Engineers studying the seismic data are marveling at construction techniques that seem to violate conventional understanding of pre-industrial capabilities. The precision of the chamber construction, the sophistication of the water management systems, and the acoustic properties of the spaces suggest knowledge that doesn't appear in any known Maya texts or traditions. Dr. James Morrison, a structural engineer who has analysed the seismic data, told me, "What we're seeing challenges everything we think we know about construction capabilities in the pre-Columbian Americas. The load-bearing calculations required for these chambers, the precision of the stone cutting, the understanding of acoustics and water flow, these indicate engineering knowledge that supposedly didn't exist for another 1,000 years. This technological puzzle has led some researchers to propose radical revisions to Maya history. Perhaps the civilization we call the classic Maya was actually the inheritor of much older knowledge, building upon foundations laid by predecessors whose achievements have been lost to time. The underground chambers might represent this earlier, more advanced phase of development, preserved beneath the better-known surface constructions. Such theories remain highly speculative, but they're gaining attention as more anomalies emerge from the data. The seismic scans have detected what appear to be tool marks and construction signatures that don't match known Maya techniques. In some chambers, the stone cutting shows patterns more consistent with advanced machinery than with the obsidian and flint tools traditionally associated with Maya construction. These anomalies have sparked intense debate within the archaeological community. Conservative voices argue that we're simply seeing the limits of our understanding of Maya capabilities, that sophisticated techniques existed but weren't preserved in the archaeological record. More adventurous researchers suggest we might need to completely revise our timeline of technological development in the Americas. The controversy has been amplified by the discovery's intersection with broader questions about ancient technological capabilities. Recent findings at sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the precision of Egyptian pyramid construction, and the massive stone blocks at Pumapunku in Bolivia all point to advanced engineering knowledge in the ancient world that challenges conventional archaeological timelines. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Maya discovery is its potential to bridge the gap between archaeology and indigenous knowledge systems. Maya communities throughout Guatemala, Mexico, Belize, and Honduras have long maintained that their ancestors possessed wisdom and capabilities that have been underestimated by academic archaeology. Don Carlos Morales, a Quiché Maya elder and traditional knowledge keeper, wasn't surprised by the discovery of underground chambers. He told researchers, "Our grandfathers spoke of sacred spaces beneath the temples, places where the ancestors kept the heart of their knowledge. They said these places would be revealed when the time was right, when the world needed to remember what had been forgotten." This convergence of scientific discovery and traditional knowledge suggests that the underground chambers might be more than just archaeological curiosities. They could represent a bridge between past and present, offering insights not just into ancient Maya civilization, but into knowledge systems that remain relevant today. The environmental implications are equally significant. The Maya developed one of the most sophisticated sustainable civilizations in human history, supporting large populations in challenging tropical environments through careful resource management and agricultural innovation. If the underground chambers contain information about these practices, they could offer crucial insights for modern sustainability challenges. Dr. Chen's team has detected what appear to be sophisticated climate control systems within the chambers, natural and constructed features that would have maintained stable temperature and humidity levels year-round. Such systems could inform modern green building practices, offering solutions developed and tested over centuries of use. The water management systems revealed by the scans are particularly intriguing from an environmental perspective. The underground channels and reservoirs suggest techniques for managing seasonal water variation that could be relevant to modern cities facing increasing climate uncertainty. If these systems can be fully understood and analysed, they might offer solutions for contemporary water management challenges. As the research continues, each new scan reveals additional layers of complexity. The underground network appears to extend beyond the major temple complexes, connecting to smaller structures and possibly linking multiple Maya sites across the region. If confirmed, this would represent one of the most extensive pre-Columbian engineering projects ever discovered. The scope of such a network raises profound questions about Maya social organization and political structure. Coordinating construction projects of this scale would have required unprecedented levels of cooperation between different Maya city-states, suggesting political and social integration that goes far beyond current understanding of classic period Maya civilization. These discoveries are forcing archaeologists to reconsider fundamental assumptions about ancient American civilizations and their capabilities. The underground chambers beneath Tikal might be just the beginning. Similar networks could exist beneath other major Maya sites, waiting to be discovered by advancing imaging technologies. The implications extend far beyond archaeology, touching on questions of human potential, technological development, and the relationship between ancient wisdom and modern challenges. As we stand on the threshold of potentially accessing these hidden chambers, we face not just the excitement of discovery, but the responsibility of understanding what these revelations might mean for our future as well as our past. The implications of these discoveries become even more staggering when we examine what the Maya themselves left behind as clues to this hidden world. Scattered throughout their codices and carved into the stone monuments that still stand above ground, there are references that suddenly make sense in light of the seismic revelations. References to the deep places, to ceremonies conducted beneath the breath of the earth, to knowledge that was kept in the darkness until the return of the light. These weren't metaphors. They were literal descriptions of a parallel world that existed beneath the temples we've been studying for over a century. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a Maya epigrapher who has spent decades translating the hieroglyphic inscriptions at Tikal, describes the moment when the underground discoveries clicked with the texts she'd been reading for years. There are glyphs we've been translating as sacred cave or holy darkness, but now I realize they might be specific architectural terms. They're not describing natural caves. They're describing constructed spaces beneath the temples. The most compelling textual evidence comes from a series of inscriptions found on the backside of Stela 31 at Tikal, carved in a script so complex that it wasn't fully translated until 2019. The text describes a ritual called the Descent to the Heart of the Mountain, where high-ranking priests would disappear into the temple for days at a time, emerging with knowledge that could predict eclipses, plan agricultural cycles, and guide political decisions. For decades, archaeologists assumed this was ceremonial language describing spiritual journeys or vision quests. But the seismic data suggests something far more literal. The heart of the mountain might be the Great Hall, 80 feet beneath the temple of the Grand Jaguar. The descent might be an actual physical journey down the sealed shafts that the scans have revealed. This realization has prompted a complete re-examination of Maya ceremonial practices. What we interpreted as symbolic rituals might have been descriptions of actual events taking place in these hidden chambers. The priest astronomers who achieved such remarkable accuracy in their calculations might have had access to instruments, star charts, or calculation devices stored in the underground complexes. The astronomical alignments detected in the chamber layouts support this theory. Dr. Chen's team has discovered that the 6 corridors branching out from the central shaft beneath Temple 4 align precisely with the positions of Venus at its maximum elongations, the points in its orbit when the planet appears farthest from the Sun. Venus was crucial to Maya astronomy and calendar systems, and having a permanent architectural reference for its movements would have been invaluable for their calculations. But Venus isn't the only celestial body represented in the underground architecture. The Great Hall beneath the Temple of the Grand Jaguar is oriented along an axis that aligns with the winter solstice sunrise, while the smaller chambers detected around its perimeter correspond to the 260-day sacred calendar that formed the backbone of Maya timekeeping. These alignments suggest that the underground chambers weren't just storage spaces or refuges, they were functional astronomical observatories. The Maya might have developed techniques for celestial observation that didn't require direct line of sight to the sky. Through careful positioning of reflective surfaces, water pools, or other optical devices within the chambers, they could have tracked stellar movements while protected from weather and hidden from potential enemies. The water systems revealed by the seismic scans take on new significance in this context. Perfectly still water surfaces would have served as natural mirrors for astronomical observation, while the acoustic properties of the chambers would have allowed priests to coordinate observations and calculations through sound. The underground complex begins to look less like a tomb or temple and more like a sophisticated scientific installation. This interpretation gains support from recent discoveries about Maya mathematical capabilities. Researchers have found evidence that Maya mathematicians understood concepts like 0 and infinity centuries before these ideas appeared in other cultures. They calculated pi to remarkable precision, developed algorithms for complex astronomical predictions, and created mathematical models that modern computers can barely match. Where did they do this work? The cramped rooms at the tops of pyramids, exposed to weather and vulnerable to warfare, seem inadequate for such sophisticated intellectual activity. But climate-controlled underground chambers, with space for large calculation devices, reference materials, and collaborative work, would have provided ideal conditions for advanced mathematical and astronomical research. The scale of the underground network also suggests something unprecedented in pre-Columbian archaeology: genuine scientific collaboration between different Maya centers. If the tunnel systems detected beneath Tikal truly connect to other sites, they would have enabled the rapid exchange of information across vast distances without the risks associated with surface travel. Dr. Santos has identified references in Maya texts to the underground roads and the passages of the wise. These descriptions appear in codices from sites hundreds of miles apart, using identical terminology and describing similar practices. Until now, archaeologists assumed these were religious or mythological concepts. But if physical tunnel networks connected major Maya centers, these texts might be describing an actual transportation and communication system. The implications for our understanding of Maya civilization are revolutionary. Instead of isolated city-states competing for resources and occasionally cooperating, we might be looking at an integrated intellectual network that spanned much of the Maya world. The underground passages could have facilitated not just the exchange of goods and information, but the coordination of research projects that required data from multiple locations. Consider the complexity of Maya eclipse predictions, which required observations from different geographical points to achieve their remarkable accuracy, or their understanding of planetary cycles, which needed decades of coordinated observation to develop. These achievements make much more sense if Maya astronomers had secure, weather-protected spaces for their instruments and rapid communication networks to share their findings. The seismic data has begun revealing evidence that supports this collaborative model. Several of the chambers contain what appear to be standardized features: identical dimensions, similar acoustic properties, and matching architectural details that suggest they were built according to shared plans. This standardization would have been essential if the chambers were part of an integrated research network. But the most intriguing evidence comes from the objects detected within the chambers themselves. The geometric regularity of these forms, their careful positioning, and their apparent relationship to astronomical alignments suggest they might be instruments or devices rather than simple artifacts. Some objects show characteristics that could indicate they were designed to move or rotate, possibly serving as calculation devices or astronomical computers. The central monolith in the Great Hall presents the biggest puzzle. Its size and central position suggest it was the focal point of whatever activities took place in the chamber. But its shape, as revealed by the seismic data, doesn't match any known Maya sculptural traditions. Instead, it shows features that could indicate a functional rather than purely ceremonial purpose. Dr. Morrison, the structural engineer analyzing the data, has proposed that the central monolith might be a massive calculation device, a three-dimensional mathematical instrument designed to model celestial movements or perform complex calculations. He points to the precision of its placement at the exact geometric center of the chamber, its orientation along astronomically significant axes, and features that suggest it might have incorporated movable elements. What we're seeing doesn't look like a statue or altar, Dr. Morrison explains. The proportions, the positioning, the apparent complexity of its internal structure. These characteristics suggest something functional. It might be the most sophisticated pre-Columbian instrument ever created. This possibility becomes even more intriguing when we consider the acoustic properties of the Great Hall. The chamber's dimensions would create specific resonance characteristics that could amplify certain frequencies while dampening others. If the central monolith incorporated acoustic elements, it might have functioned as both a calculation device and a communication system, allowing operators to coordinate complex calculations through sound. The integration of acoustics, astronomy, and mathematics in a single underground installation would represent technological sophistication that challenges every assumption about pre-Columbian American capabilities. Yet the evidence continues to point in this direction as more details emerge from the seismic analysis. Recent scans have detected what appear to be channels or conduits running through the central monolith itself. These internal features, too regular to be natural, suggest the object was hollow or partially hollow, possibly containing mechanisms we can't yet understand. The channels align with similar features detected in other objects throughout the chamber, hinting at an integrated system of connected devices. The research team has also identified acoustic signatures that suggest some chambers might still contain water. The underground pools detected beneath several temples show characteristics that indicate they might be spring-fed, maintaining consistent water levels even after centuries of abandonment. These permanent water sources would have been essential for both practical purposes and for the optical techniques required for astronomical observation. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery is evidence of what appears to be artificial lighting within some chambers. The seismic data has detected reflective surfaces positioned at angles that would redirect any light source throughout the underground spaces. These aren't random placements. They follow geometric patterns that would maximize illumination while minimizing the number of light sources required. The sophistication of this lighting system suggests the Maya developed techniques for underground illumination that went far beyond simple torches. Polished metal mirrors, carefully positioned crystals, or other reflective materials could have created lighting systems that would have seemed magical to anyone unfamiliar with their construction principles. Dr. Chen's team has calculated that with optimal placement of reflective surfaces, a single bright light source at the entrance to a chamber could illuminate an entire underground complex. The mathematical precision required for such calculations represents yet another example of Maya engineering capabilities that exceeded anything previously documented. These lighting systems would have been essential for the complex work that apparently took place in the chambers. Mathematical calculations, astronomical observations, and the operation of sophisticated instruments would all have required consistent, reliable illumination. The underground complexes begin to look less like ritual spaces and more like research facilities designed for precision work. The implications extend beyond Maya studies into broader questions about ancient technological capabilities and the relationship between different world civilizations. If the Maya developed underground research facilities of this sophistication, similar installations might exist beneath other ancient sites around the world, waiting to be discovered by advancing imaging technologies. The timing of the Maya discoveries coincides with similar revelations at other archaeological sites. Advanced scanning techniques have revealed hidden chambers beneath the Egyptian pyramids, underground complexes at Angkor Wat, and sophisticated tunnel systems at Neolithic sites across Europe. The pattern suggests that underground construction might have been far more common in the ancient world than previously recognized. But the Maya discoveries stand out for their apparent integration of multiple advanced technologies within single installations. The combination of precision engineering, sophisticated acoustics, advanced astronomy, and complex mathematics within the underground chambers represents a level of interdisciplinary collaboration that seems remarkably modern. Dr. Vasquez has found references in late Maya texts to the closing of the deep places during the period of classic Maya collapse. These accounts describe deliberate efforts to seal underground installations and scatter the knowledge they contained among different communities for safekeeping. The seismic evidence of careful sealing procedures supports these historical accounts. The systematic nature of the concealment suggests the Maya were preparing for a specific threat, possibly the arrival of foreign invaders or the breakdown of the political structures that maintained the research networks. By sealing the underground installations and distributing their contents among scattered communities, they could preserve their knowledge while protecting it from destruction or misuse. This interpretation transforms our understanding of the classic Maya collapse, from a simple breakdown of civilization to a strategic withdrawal designed to preserve the most valuable aspects of Maya culture. The surface cities might have been abandoned, but the knowledge they contained was carefully preserved in hidden locations until conditions became favorable for its recovery. The question now becomes, are those conditions finally favorable? The combination of advanced imaging technologies, improved understanding of Maya culture and language, and growing recognition of indigenous knowledge systems might finally provide the tools needed to unlock the secrets of the underground chambers without destroying the sites that contain them. But accessing this knowledge will require unprecedented cooperation between archaeologists, engineers, indigenous communities, and government authorities. The chambers lie beneath some of Guatemala's most important cultural heritage sites, protected by multiple layers of national and international law. Any attempt to explore them physically will require careful planning and extensive consultation with all stakeholders. Meanwhile, the research continues with increasingly sophisticated remote sensing techniques. New developments in seismic imaging are providing ever greater resolution, revealing details about the underground chambers that bring us closer to understanding their true purpose and contents. Each scan reveals new mysteries while solving others, painting an increasingly complex picture of Maya technological capabilities. The story of these hidden chambers is far from complete. As imaging technology advances and new analytical techniques are developed, we can expect to learn much more about what lies beneath the temples of Tikal and other Maya sites. The discoveries made so far represent just the beginning of a revolution in our understanding of ancient American civilizations. But already, the implications are clear. The Maya were far more advanced than we ever imagined, and the knowledge they preserved in their underground installations might hold keys to understanding not just the past, but challenges we face today. The sealed chambers beneath the jungle temples aren't just archaeological curiosities. They're time capsules from a civilization that achieved remarkable sophistication through approaches we're only beginning to comprehend. The discovery of these underground chambers has sparked something unprecedented in Maya archaeology, a race against time that extends far beyond academic curiosity. Because while researchers work to understand what lies beneath these temples, other forces are already moving to exploit or destroy what might be humanity's greatest archaeological treasure. The drug cartels that control vast portions of Guatemala's jungle regions have shown increasing interest in archaeological sites, not for their historical value, but for their strategic importance as smuggling routes and bases of operation. The remote locations, difficult terrain, and limited government presence make ancient Maya sites ideal for illegal activities. And now, with news spreading about vast underground networks beneath the temples, these criminal organizations are asking a chilling question. Could these hidden chambers serve their purposes too? Dr. Chen's team has documented evidence of recent unauthorized excavations at several Maya sites across the region. These aren't careful archaeological digs. They're crude tunneling operations that show complete disregard for preserving the structures above. Satellite imagery reveals fresh scars in the jungle canopy where heavy machinery has been brought into sites that should be protected by their UNESCO status. The implications are terrifying. If criminal organizations gain access to the underground networks before archaeologists can properly study them, centuries of irreplaceable knowledge could be destroyed in a matter of days. The sophisticated acoustic systems, astronomical alignments, and delicate artifacts detected by the seismic scans could all be obliterated by people interested only in creating hiding spaces for drugs and weapons. But the threats don't end with criminal activity. Climate change is accelerating the decay of Maya sites at an unprecedented rate. The same rainforest environment that preserved these structures for over 1,000 years is now becoming their enemy. Increased rainfall intensity, more frequent storms, and changing temperature patterns are causing accelerated erosion and structural damage throughout the region. Dr. Santos has documented alarming changes at Tikal over just the past decade. Root systems, strengthened by increased moisture, are penetrating deeper into temple foundations. The limestone that forms the base of Maya construction is dissolving at faster rates due to increasingly acidic rainfall. And the seasonal flood cycles that once helped maintain underground water systems are becoming unpredictable, potentially destabilizing the very chambers the team is trying to study. The urgency of the situation has led to an unusual alliance between researchers, local governments, and international organizations. The Guatemalan military has increased patrols around major archaeological sites, while UNESCO has fast-tracked emergency funding for protective measures. But everyone involved knows these are temporary solutions to problems that require long-term commitment and resources. The real race is against human nature itself. The more publicity these discoveries receive, the more attention they attract from people whose interests have nothing to do with preserving ancient knowledge. Social media posts about hidden chambers and underground treasures have already inspired amateur treasure hunters to attempt their own expeditions into restricted archaeological zones. 3 separate incidents in the past month have involved unauthorized individuals attempting to use metal detectors and crude digging equipment at Maya sites. In each case, they were stopped before causing significant damage, but the pattern is clear. The window for controlled scientific exploration of these chambers is rapidly closing. The situation has forced the research team to make difficult decisions about how much information to share with the public. Dr. Chen admits that some of their most significant findings haven't been released because doing so might endanger the sites themselves. The detailed maps of underground chambers, the precise locations of detected objects, and the access points they've identified through their scans. All of this information could be used by people with destructive intentions. This creates a cruel paradox. The discoveries that could revolutionize our understanding of Maya civilization must remain secret to protect them from destruction. The very act of studying these sites makes them more vulnerable to exploitation. It's a race between knowledge and greed, between preservation and profit. The international archaeological community has responded with unprecedented cooperation. Researchers who normally compete for funding and recognition are sharing resources and expertise to accelerate the pace of discovery before it's too late. Governments that typically guard their archaeological treasures jealously are opening their borders to international teams equipped with the most advanced imaging technology available. But perhaps the most important alliance has been with Maya communities themselves. The indigenous peoples, who are the direct descendants of the chamber builders, have become the most effective guardians of these sites. Their deep knowledge of jungle terrain, their cultural connections to the temples, and their vested interest in preserving their ancestors' achievements make them invaluable partners in protection efforts. Don Carlos Morales has organized community watch groups that patrol archaeological sites using traditional tracking skills combined with modern communication technology. These groups can detect unauthorized intrusions that would be missed by conventional security measures. They know the subtle signs that indicate someone has been disturbing the forest, the sounds that don't belong, the changes in animal behavior that suggest human intrusion. The collaboration between modern technology and traditional knowledge has produced remarkable results. GPS tracking, combined with ancestral navigation techniques, has identified several previously unknown access points to underground systems. Satellite monitoring, enhanced by generations of oral tradition, has revealed patterns of site usage that pure technological approaches missed. But this partnership has also revealed troubling information about the extent of the threats facing these sites. Maya elders speak of changes they've observed over their lifetimes, sacred spaces being violated, traditional protections being ignored, and ancient taboos being broken by people who don't understand their significance. The traditional Maya concept of sacred space extends far beyond the physical structures themselves. The entire landscape around major temples is considered part of an integrated spiritual and practical system. Damaging any part of this system, whether through criminal activity, unauthorized excavation, or even well-intentioned but culturally insensitive research, threatens the integrity of the whole. This holistic understanding has led to new approaches in archaeological protection. Instead of focusing solely on individual temples or specific underground chambers, conservation efforts now encompass entire watersheds, forest ecosystems, and cultural landscapes. The Maya knew that their underground installations were part of larger environmental systems, and protecting them requires the same integrated thinking. The water management systems revealed by the seismic scans provide a perfect example of this integration. The underground chambers aren't isolated spaces. They're connected to surface water collection systems, underground streams, and seasonal flood patterns that extend for miles beyond the temple complexes themselves. Disrupting any part of this network could affect the stability and preservation of the entire system. Dr. Chen's team has identified at least 12 different environmental factors that contribute to the preservation of the underground chambers. These range from soil composition and drainage patterns to microclimate conditions and biological processes that prevent decay. Understanding and protecting all of these factors requires expertise from multiple disciplines and cooperation from all stakeholders. The complexity of these preservation requirements has led to innovative approaches in archaeological protection. Rather than traditional site security focused on keeping people out, the new model emphasizes education, community involvement, and sustainable interaction with archaeological resources. The goal is to create conditions where local communities benefit from protecting these sites rather than being excluded from them. This approach has already shown promising results. Villages near major Maya sites have developed ecotourism programs that provide economic incentives for conservation while sharing the significance of the discoveries with visitors from around the world. Local guides trained in both Maya history and modern archaeological techniques can provide insights that no outside researcher could offer. The success of these community-based protection programs has attracted attention from conservation organizations working in other regions. The model developed around Maya sites could be applied to threatened archaeological resources worldwide, creating a new paradigm for heritage preservation that emphasizes partnership rather than exclusion. But time remains the critical factor. Each month of delay in accessing and studying these chambers increases the risk that they'll be damaged or destroyed before their secrets can be revealed. The research team is working frantically to develop techniques for rapid, non-invasive exploration that could provide crucial information without requiring physical access to the chambers themselves. Recent advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning have opened new possibilities for analyzing the vast amounts of data generated by seismic scans. AI systems trained on known Maya architectural patterns can identify anomalies and features in the underground chambers that human analysts might miss. These systems can process years of scan data in days, potentially revealing critical information about chamber contents and structural integrity. The AI analysis has already produced startling results. Computer models trained on Maya mathematical and astronomical knowledge have identified patterns in the chamber layouts that correspond to calculations found in surviving Maya codices. The underground installations appear to be three-dimensional representations of mathematical concepts that the Maya recorded in their books, physical models of abstract ideas that could be manipulated and studied in ways that written records couldn't provide. This discovery adds another dimension to the race against time. If these chambers truly contain physical representations of Maya mathematical and astronomical knowledge, they could provide insights into calculation techniques and scientific methods that were lost when the Spanish conquistadors burned Maya libraries. The underground installations might be the only surviving copies of intellectual achievements that took centuries to develop. The implications extend far beyond historical curiosity. Maya mathematical techniques included approaches to complex calculations that modern computers struggle with. Their astronomical predictions achieved accuracy that wasn't matched by European astronomy until the development of modern instruments. If the techniques behind these achievements can be recovered from the chamber installations, they could contribute to contemporary scientific research. Dr. Morrison has identified several features in the underground chambers that appear to be mechanical calculation devices. The precision of their construction and the complexity of their apparent operation suggest they might be more sophisticated than any surviving ancient technology. Understanding how these devices worked could provide insights into alternative approaches to computation that could inform modern technological development. The potential applications are staggering. Maya water management techniques, encoded in the underground hydraulic systems, could offer solutions for modern drought and flood control. Their acoustic engineering, preserved in the chamber designs, could advance our understanding of sound and communication. Their astronomical instruments, if they can be properly analyzed, might reveal observation techniques that could improve contemporary space science. But realizing these benefits requires gaining access to the chambers while they're still intact and their contents are still preserved. The seismic data suggests that some chambers have maintained stable environmental conditions for centuries, but this stability depends on systems that could be disrupted by unauthorized intrusion or environmental changes. The research team has documented evidence that several chambers are already showing signs of degradation. Changes in groundwater levels, possibly caused by climate change or human activity in surrounding areas, appear to be affecting the preservation conditions in some underground spaces. Time-sensitive materials that survived for over 1,000 years could deteriorate rapidly if current trends continue. This urgency has led to desperate measures. The team has begun training local community members in basic preservation techniques, creating a distributed network of site monitors who can detect and respond to threats more quickly than any centralized system could manage. These community guardians are equipped with simple but effective tools for documenting changes and protecting vulnerable areas until professional help can arrive. The success of this approach has surprised even its organizers. Community members with no formal archaeological training have proven remarkably effective at identifying subtle signs of site disturbance or environmental change. Their intimate knowledge of local conditions allows them to detect anomalies that sophisticated monitoring equipment might miss. But perhaps most importantly, these community guardians bring a perspective that no outside researcher can provide. They understand the cultural significance of these sites in ways that extend far beyond their archaeological value. They know which changes represent natural processes and which indicate human interference. They can read the landscape like a book written in a language only they fully understand. This integration of traditional knowledge and modern technology has become the foundation of current preservation efforts. GPS coordinates combined with ancestral navigation markers create redundant location systems. Satellite monitoring enhanced by traditional ecological knowledge provides early warning of threats. Scientific analysis informed by oral traditions reveals patterns that pure data analysis misses. The collaboration has also revealed just how much knowledge about these sites has been preserved in Maya communities, despite centuries of suppression and marginalization. Oral traditions contain detailed information about the underground chambers that corresponds remarkably well with the seismic discoveries. Stories passed down through generations describe features and functions that the research team is only now beginning to understand through technological analysis. This convergence of traditional knowledge and scientific discovery has created unprecedented opportunities for understanding Maya civilization, but it has also highlighted the urgency of the current situation. The elders who carry this traditional knowledge are aging, and the communities that preserve these traditions face increasing pressure from modernization and economic necessity. The loss of traditional knowledge would be as devastating as the physical destruction of the archaeological sites themselves. The oral traditions that provide context for the underground chambers, the cultural practices that explain their significance, and the spiritual understanding that guides their protection. All of this intangible heritage is as fragile and irreplaceable as the physical structures beneath the jungle floor. This realization has added another dimension to the race against time. Preserving the underground chambers isn't just about protecting ancient stones and artifacts. It's about maintaining the living cultural traditions that give those objects meaning. The research team has begun working with Maya communities to document traditional knowledge about the sites, creating records that will preserve this information even if the communities themselves are forced to abandon their traditional ways of life. The documentation project has revealed the true scope of Maya knowledge about the underground installations. Community members describe ceremonial practices that clearly reference the hidden chambers, astronomical observations that make sense only in the context of underground observatories, and mathematical concepts that correspond to the geometric patterns detected in the seismic scans. This traditional knowledge is providing crucial guidance for the research team's efforts to understand and protect the sites. Instead of working blind, trying to interpret technological data without cultural context, researchers now have access to generations of accumulated wisdom about these installations and their significance. But accessing this wisdom requires building trust and respect that extends far beyond typical academic relationships. Maya communities have legitimate reasons to be suspicious of outside researchers. Centuries of exploitation, cultural suppression, and broken promises have created deep skepticism about the motives of anyone claiming to study their heritage. The current research team has worked hard to establish genuine partnerships based on mutual respect and shared benefits. Community members aren't just sources of information, they're full partners in the research process, with equal say in decisions about how the sites are studied and protected. The traditional knowledge holders aren't just consultants, they're co-researchers whose insights are as valued as any technological analysis. This partnership model has produced results that neither traditional archaeology nor community knowledge could achieve alone. The combination of advanced technology and ancestral wisdom is revealing aspects of Maya civilization that have been hidden for centuries, not just beneath the ground but within the living memories of their descendants. As we stand on the threshold of potentially accessing these incredible underground chambers, we face questions that extend far beyond archaeology or history. We're confronting fundamental issues about how knowledge should be preserved, who has the right to access ancient wisdom, and what responsibilities we have to future generations who will inherit the consequences of our decisions today. The sealed chambers beneath the Maya temples aren't just repositories of ancient knowledge, they're tests of our own wisdom and judgment. How we handle these discoveries, whether we approach them with respect or exploitation, will determine not just what we learn about the past, but what kind of future we create for ourselves. The race against time continues, but it's no longer just about speed. It's about making sure that when we finally unlock the secrets of these underground chambers, we do so in ways that honor both the incredible achievements of their builders and the living communities who have guarded their memory through centuries of challenge and change. The story of what lies beneath the Maya temples is still being written, and we all have a role in determining how it ends. The collaboration between cutting-edge technology and ancestral knowledge has revealed something that challenges our most basic assumptions about ancient American civilizations. As the research team continues to refine their seismic analysis, patterns are emerging that suggest the underground network beneath Tikal might be just the tip of an iceberg that extends across the entire Maya world. Dr. Chen's latest scans have detected electromagnetic anomalies that indicate similar underground structures at sites hundreds of miles away. Preliminary data from Palenque in Mexico, Caracol in Belize, and even distant Chichen Itza show seismic signatures that mirror the patterns found at Tikal. The implications are staggering. We might be looking at an integrated underground civilization that spanned thousands of square miles and connected dozens of major Maya centers. The scale of such a network would dwarf any known ancient engineering project. The Roman road system, often cited as the pinnacle of pre-modern infrastructure, would pale in comparison to underground tunnels that could connect Maya cities across international borders. The coordination required for such construction would indicate political and social organization far more sophisticated than anything previously attributed to pre-Columbian America. But the most intriguing evidence comes from the timing analysis embedded within the seismic data. Dr. Chen has developed techniques for dating underground construction based on toolmark patterns, stone weathering signatures, and acoustic resonance characteristics. What she's discovered challenges fundamental assumptions about when these chambers were built. The deepest levels of the underground network show construction techniques that appear older than the surface temples above them. Much older. While the visible pyramids at Tikal date to the classic period between 200 and 900 CE, some of the underground chambers show characteristics that could place their construction centuries or even millennia earlier. This chronological puzzle has profound implications for understanding Maya origins. If the underground chambers predate the known classic period constructions, they might represent evidence of a much older phase of Maya civilization, one that possessed advanced engineering capabilities before developing the writing systems, artistic styles, and political structures that define our current understanding of Maya culture. Dr. Vasquez has been re-examining Maya creation myths in light of these discoveries, and she's finding correlations that send chills down her spine. The Popol Vuh speaks of earlier creations that were destroyed and buried before the current world began. These weren't metaphorical destructions. They describe physical civilizations that were deliberately concealed beneath the earth to preserve them for future generations. The text describes beings of extraordinary wisdom who went down into the darkness carrying the seeds of knowledge before the world above was remade. For generations, scholars interpreted this as spiritual allegory. But if literal underground installations were constructed to preserve advanced knowledge during periods of upheaval, these creation stories might be historical accounts disguised as mythology. The dating anomalies become even more puzzling when we examine the objects detected within the chambers. Some of the geometric forms revealed by the scans show construction techniques that don't match any known period of Maya development. The precision of their angles, the sophistication of their internal structures, and the mathematical relationships they embody suggest knowledge systems that supposedly didn't exist in the pre-Columbian Americas. Dr. Morrison has identified what appear to be bearing systems within some of the larger objects, mechanisms that would allow massive stone constructions to rotate or move with minimal friction. The engineering principles behind such systems weren't documented in European technology until the Industrial Revolution, yet here they appear in contexts that predate Columbus by centuries. These mechanical anomalies have sparked intense debate within the research team. Conservative members argue that they're misinterpreting natural formations or overestimating the sophistication of what they're seeing. But the patterns are too consistent, too precisely aligned with known mathematical principles to dismiss as coincidence or wishful thinking. The controversy has been amplified by discoveries at other Maya sites that support the advanced technology hypothesis. Recent excavations at Pakal's tomb in Palenque revealed traces of unusual metallic compounds that don't match any known pre-Columbian metallurgy. Ground-penetrating radar at Caracol has detected subsurface structures with geometric properties that seem to violate the construction capabilities traditionally attributed to Maya civilization. Each new discovery adds weight to a possibility that mainstream archaeology has been reluctant to consider: that Maya civilization was built upon technological foundations that were far more advanced than we've been willing to acknowledge. The underground chambers might not just be hidden spaces, they might be repositories of knowledge that represents a lost golden age of human achievement. This interpretation gains support from the sophisticated integration of multiple technologies within the underground installations. The combination of precision engineering, advanced acoustics, mathematical calculation devices, and astronomical observation tools within single complexes suggests a level of interdisciplinary knowledge that rivals modern scientific institutions. Consider the implications if these chambers truly contain functional astronomical computers built from stone and metal. Maya calendar calculations achieved accuracy that wasn't matched by European astronomy until the development of mechanical chronometers. If the techniques behind these calculations can be recovered from physical devices preserved in the underground chambers, they could contribute to contemporary timekeeping and navigation technologies. The water management systems detected in the scans present equally intriguing possibilities. The Maya developed agricultural techniques that supported population densities higher than what the same regions sustain today. If their methods are preserved in the underground installations, they could offer solutions for modern food security challenges in tropical regions facing climate change. But perhaps the most significant potential lies in the apparent integration of all these technologies within coordinated networks. The underground installations don't just contain individual devices or techniques. They seem to represent systematic approaches to knowledge that treat engineering, astronomy, mathematics, and environmental management as interconnected disciplines. This holistic approach to technology might be the most valuable legacy the underground chambers could offer to the modern world. Contemporary science tends towards specialization, with experts in narrow fields who rarely communicate across disciplinary boundaries. The Maya installations suggest alternative models where different types of knowledge reinforce and enhance each other within integrated systems. Dr. Santos has identified references in late Maya texts to the great teaching that was preserved in the deep places for future generations who would remember how to listen. These passages describe knowledge that encompassed not just technical skills, but wisdom about living in harmony with natural systems and social structures that could maintain complex civilizations across centuries. The preservation of such wisdom would have required more than just hiding books or artifacts. It would have needed systems for passing on not just information, but understanding, ways of thinking that could be transmitted across generations, even when the surface world was experiencing chaos and collapse. The underground chambers might represent the most sophisticated knowledge preservation system ever created. Instead of simply storing information, they might be designed as teaching environments where complex concepts could be learned through direct experience and interaction with physical models and working systems. This educational interpretation explains many of the puzzling features detected in the scans. The acoustic properties of the chambers would facilitate group learning and discussion. The astronomical alignments would provide constant reference points for understanding celestial mechanics. The water systems would demonstrate hydrological principles through direct observation. The mathematical devices would allow hands-on exploration of numerical relationships. If the chambers truly functioned as educational installations, they would represent a revolution in our understanding of ancient pedagogy. Modern educational theory emphasizes hands-on learning, interdisciplinary integration, and experiential knowledge acquisition. The Maya might have developed these same principles over 1,000 years ago and embedded them in physical spaces designed to transmit complex knowledge across generations. The implications extend far beyond historical curiosity. If ancient educational techniques preserved in these chambers prove more effective than modern methods, they could transform contemporary approaches to teaching science, mathematics, and environmental stewardship. The integration of multiple learning modalities within single installations could inform the design of modern educational facilities. But accessing this potential requires overcoming challenges that grow more complex with each new discovery. The chambers lie beneath some of the most important archaeological sites in the Americas, protected by multiple layers of national and international law. Any attempt to reach them physically would require unprecedented coordination between governments, academic institutions, indigenous communities, and international organizations. The political complexities are as daunting as the technical challenges. The underground installations span multiple countries, each with its own laws governing archaeological research and cultural heritage protection. Guatemala, Mexico, Belize, and Honduras would all need to coordinate policies and procedures for any comprehensive exploration of the network. Indigenous Maya communities add another crucial dimension to these negotiations. As the direct descendants of the chamber builders, they have moral and legal claims to participation in any research that affects their ancestral sites. Their traditional knowledge is essential for understanding the cultural context of the discoveries, but their rights to control access to their heritage must be respected. The Catholic Church presents an unexpected but significant stakeholder in these discussions. Many Maya sites were later occupied by Spanish colonial structures, and some underground chambers might extend beneath churches and monasteries built during the conquest period. Church authorities would need to approve any research that could affect the stability of colonial religious architecture. Environmental organizations have raised concerns about the potential impact of exploration activities on fragile jungle ecosystems. The rainforest environments that have protected these sites for centuries could be damaged by the equipment and personnel required for underground research. Balancing scientific discovery with environmental protection requires careful planning and innovative approaches. The complexity of these stakeholder relationships has led to the development of new models for international archaeological cooperation. Traditional approaches that prioritized academic institutions from wealthy countries are being replaced by partnerships that emphasize local community involvement and benefit-sharing arrangements that ensure discoveries contribute to the welfare of descendant populations. These new partnership models are already producing results that traditional approaches couldn't achieve. Community members with traditional knowledge are identifying features in the seismic data that academic researchers missed. Local environmental expertise is informing preservation strategies that protect both archaeological sites and surrounding ecosystems. Indigenous languages are providing terminology for describing chamber features that don't exist in modern archaeological vocabulary. But perhaps the most important contribution of community involvement is the cultural perspective it brings to interpreting the discoveries. The underground chambers weren't built in isolation. They were part of living communities with complex social, spiritual, and practical relationships to their environment. Understanding their true significance requires knowledge that has been preserved in the cultures of their builders' descendants. Don Carlos Morales and other traditional knowledge holders describe the underground installations not as separate from the surface world, but as integral parts of larger systems that encompassed entire landscapes. The chambers were connected not just by physical tunnels, but by spiritual, social, and ecological relationships that treated the underground and surface worlds as different aspects of unified wholes. This holistic perspective is reshaping how researchers approach the study of the chambers. Instead of focusing solely on individual features or technologies, they're beginning to understand the installations as components of integrated systems that operated on multiple levels simultaneously. The astronomical devices weren't just calculation tools, they were elements of calendrical systems that coordinated agricultural, ceremonial, and social activities across entire regions. The water management systems weren't just engineering projects, they were expressions of spiritual relationships between human communities and natural cycles that sustain both physical and cultural life. The acoustic properties of the chambers weren't just architectural features. They were components of communication networks that maintained social cohesion across vast distances and long periods of time. Understanding these connections requires approaches that combine technological analysis with cultural knowledge in ways that neither tradition alone could achieve. The seismic scans provide precise data about physical features, but traditional knowledge provides the context needed to understand what those features meant to the people who created and used them. This integration of scientific and traditional knowledge is producing insights that challenge fundamental assumptions about the relationship between technology and culture in ancient civilizations. The Maya installations suggest that advanced technical capabilities, developed not in isolation from cultural and spiritual concerns, but as expressions of sophisticated understanding about the relationships between human communities and their environments. The chambers appear to embody principles that treat technological, social, and spiritual knowledge as interconnected aspects of unified wisdom systems. The astronomical devices served not just scientific, but ceremonial functions. The water systems supported not just practical, but symbolic needs. The acoustic properties facilitated not just communication, but community-building activities that strengthened social bonds across generations. This integration of different types of knowledge within single installations might represent the most important lesson the underground chambers could teach the modern world. Contemporary civilization tends to separate technical, social, and spiritual concerns into different domains managed by different institutions. The Maya approach suggests alternative models where these different aspects of human experience reinforce and enhance each other. The potential applications of such integrated approaches are vast. Modern environmental challenges require solutions that address not just technical problems, but social and cultural dimensions of human relationships with natural systems. The Maya installations might provide models for developing technologies that serve not just practical functions, but community needs and spiritual values. Climate change adaptation strategies could benefit from approaches that treat technical solutions as components of larger social and cultural systems rather than as isolated fixes for specific problems. The Maya water management techniques worked not just because they were engineering marvels, but because they were embedded in cultural practices that sustained community commitment to their maintenance across generations. Urban planning could learn from Maya approaches that integrated residential, ceremonial, agricultural, and industrial functions within unified systems rather than segregating them into separate zones. The underground installations suggest ways of organizing human activities that minimize environmental impact, while maximizing social cohesion and cultural vitality. Educational systems could adopt Maya models that combine theoretical knowledge with practical experience and spiritual development within integrated learning environments. The chamber installations appear to have been designed as places where technical skills, cultural knowledge, and wisdom traditions were transmitted together, rather than as separate subjects. But realizing these benefits requires more than just studying the physical remains of Maya installations. It requires understanding the knowledge systems that created them and the cultural practices that sustained them across centuries of use. This understanding can only be achieved through genuine partnerships with the communities that have preserved Maya traditions through generations of challenge and change. The research team has begun developing protocols for knowledge sharing that respect both scientific standards and traditional cultural practices. These protocols ensure that discoveries contribute to community welfare while maintaining the intellectual rigor needed for academic credibility. They also establish frameworks for protecting traditional knowledge from exploitation while allowing it to inform scientific research. These partnerships are producing results that neither traditional archaeology nor community knowledge could achieve alone. Community members are gaining access to scientific techniques that help them document and preserve their cultural heritage. Researchers are gaining insights into Maya civilization that pure technological analysis could never provide. Both groups are developing new approaches to knowledge creation that could transform how human communities understand and interact with their environments. The success of these collaborative approaches has attracted attention from research institutions and communities worldwide. The model developed around Maya sites is being adapted for use with other indigenous knowledge systems and archaeological resources. The techniques for integrating traditional and scientific knowledge are informing approaches to contemporary challenges that require both technical expertise and cultural wisdom. But the most significant impact might be on our understanding of human potential itself. The Maya installations suggest that ancient civilizations achieved levels of integration between different types of knowledge that modern societies have struggled to match. Their approaches to combining technical innovation with cultural wisdom and spiritual insight might offer guidance for creating more sustainable and fulfilling ways of life. The underground chambers represent more than just remarkable archaeological discoveries. They're windows into alternative models of human civilization that achieved remarkable sophistication through approaches that differed fundamentally from contemporary patterns. Understanding these alternatives could provide options for addressing modern challenges that conventional approaches have failed to solve. As the research continues and new techniques reveal additional details about the underground installations, we're not just learning about the past, we're discovering possibilities for the future. The Maya chambers might contain more than ancient artifacts and forgotten technologies. They might hold keys to unlocking human potential that we've barely begun to explore. The race against time to study and protect these installations has become a race to preserve not just archaeological treasures, but alternative visions of what human civilization could become. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the window of opportunity continues to narrow with each passing day. But for those willing to listen, the underground chambers beneath the Maya temples are beginning to whisper secrets that could transform our understanding of both where we've come from and where we might be heading. The deeper we dig into this mystery, the more we realize that what's buried beneath the jungle floor might be more than just history. It might be a roadmap to a future we never imagined possible. But if these chambers truly hold the keys to understanding Maya civilization's most profound achievements, then the methods we use to explore them will determine whether we unlock genuine wisdom or simply satisfy our curiosity about the past. And that brings us to perhaps the most critical discovery the research team has made so far: evidence that the Maya didn't just build these underground installations and then abandon them. They appear to have left behind a sophisticated system of safeguards designed to protect their contents until humanity developed the wisdom to use them responsibly. The seismic scans have revealed layers of what can only be described as progressive barriers within the chamber systems. These aren't simple walls or blocked passages. They're intricate mechanisms that seem designed to test the knowledge and intentions of anyone attempting to access the deeper levels of the installations. The first barriers require basic understanding of Maya astronomy to navigate. Deeper levels demand comprehension of their mathematical systems. The innermost chambers appear to be protected by challenges that would require mastery of multiple disciplines simultaneously. Dr. Chen's analysis of these barrier systems has revealed something that makes her voice drop to a whisper when she describes it. The protective mechanisms aren't static, they're responsive. Certain chambers show evidence of systems that could detect and react to the approaches used by potential intruders. Crude force would trigger one type of response, while careful study and respectful approach would unlock different pathways entirely. The implications are staggering. The Maya might have created the world's first truly intelligent security system, one that could distinguish between treasure hunters and genuine seekers of knowledge. The underground installations weren't just hidden, they were actively protected by mechanisms that could evaluate the worthiness of anyone who discovered them. This discovery has forced the research team to completely reconsider their exploration strategies. Traditional archaeological approaches that prioritize rapid excavation and artifact recovery might actually prevent access to the most important chambers. The Maya safeguards seem designed to reward patience, cultural understanding, and collaborative approaches over individual ambition or institutional competition. Dr. Santos has found references in late Maya texts to the testing of the depths and the chambers that choose their visitors. These passages describe initiates who spent years preparing to enter the underground installations, learning not just technical skills, but developing the wisdom and character needed to handle the knowledge they would encounter. The barriers weren't obstacles to overcome. They were educational experiences designed to ensure that only properly prepared individuals could access the deepest secrets. This educational aspect of the protective systems has transformed how researchers understand the purpose of the underground installations. They weren't just storage facilities for ancient knowledge. They were interactive learning environments designed to transmit complex understanding across generations and cultures. The chambers themselves were teachers, and the barriers were lessons that prepared students for increasingly sophisticated insights. The realization has led to an unprecedented shift in archaeological methodology. Instead of planning invasive excavation campaigns, the research team is developing long-term educational programs that prepare participants to interact with the chamber systems according to Maya principles. These programs combine traditional archaeological training with Maya cultural studies, indigenous knowledge systems, and interdisciplinary approaches to understanding ancient wisdom. The pilot program has attracted participants from around the world: archaeologists, engineers, astronomers, indigenous knowledge holders, and even artists and musicians who bring different perspectives to understanding Maya achievements. The diversity of participants reflects the interdisciplinary nature of Maya knowledge systems and the recognition that accessing these chambers will require insights from multiple fields of study. But the most remarkable aspect of the preparation program has been its effects on the participants themselves. Researchers who began the training, focused on specific technical questions, have found themselves developing broader perspectives on the relationships between knowledge, wisdom, and responsibility. The Maya approach to learning seems designed not just to transmit information, but to transform understanding in ways that prepare individuals to use knowledge ethically and effectively. Dr. Morrison describes his own experience in the program as fundamentally life-changing. He entered as an engineer interested in Maya construction techniques and found himself developing insights into sustainable design principles that have revolutionized his approach to modern building projects. The Maya installations taught him to think about engineering not just as problem-solving, but as harmonizing human needs with natural systems. Similar transformations are occurring throughout the participant group. Astronomers are discovering new ways of understanding celestial mechanics through Maya approaches that integrate mathematical calculation with spiritual insight. Linguists are finding that Maya writing systems reveal new possibilities for representing complex ideas through symbol systems that operate on multiple levels simultaneously. The educational effects of simply preparing to enter the chambers have been so profound that some participants question whether physical access is even necessary. The process of learning to think like the Maya, to approach knowledge with their integration of technical skill and cultural wisdom, might be more valuable than whatever artifacts or devices the chambers actually contain. But the seismic data continues to reveal tantalizing hints of physical discoveries that could revolutionize our understanding of ancient capabilities. Recent scans have detected what appear to be intact libraries within several chambers, organized collections of objects that show the systematic arrangement characteristic of information storage systems. These aren't random accumulations of artifacts, but carefully curated repositories that seem designed for easy access and cross-reference. The organization of these underground libraries follows patterns that mirror the structure of surviving Maya codices, but on a vastly larger scale. Where existing Maya books contain hundreds of pages, the chamber libraries appear to house thousands of information storage units. The implications for understanding Maya intellectual achievements are overwhelming. We might be looking at the equivalent of ancient universities that preserved and transmitted knowledge across generations. But the most intriguing library appears to be located in the deepest accessible level of the Great Hall complex. This installation shows characteristics that don't match any known Maya information storage system. The objects are larger than typical codices, arranged in patterns that suggest three-dimensional information systems, and integrated with what appear to be mechanical devices that could manipulate or access the stored knowledge. Dr. Vasquez has proposed that this deep library might contain what she calls living books, information storage systems that combined written records with interactive devices that could demonstrate concepts through physical models or mechanical simulations. Such systems would represent the ultimate integration of abstract knowledge with practical experience, allowing users to not just read about complex ideas, but to interact with them directly. The possibility of discovering intact interactive learning systems from over 1,000 years ago has attracted attention from modern educational technologists. The principles behind Maya living books could inform the development of contemporary educational tools that combine digital information with hands-on experience in ways that neither traditional books nor modern computers can achieve alone. But accessing these potential treasures requires overcoming challenges that grow more complex with each new discovery. The chamber safeguards that protect the deeper installations aren't just physical barriers, they're tests of cultural understanding and ethical commitment that can't be bypassed through technology or force. The Maya designed their protection systems to ensure that their knowledge would only be accessed by individuals who had developed the wisdom to use it responsibly. This requirement for cultural and ethical preparation has created unprecedented cooperation between academic institutions, indigenous communities, and spiritual traditions that normally operate in separate spheres. The challenge of meeting Maya standards for accessing their chambers is forcing modern researchers to develop new approaches to learning that integrate technical training with cultural wisdom and personal transformation. The process is slow, demanding, and often frustrating for participants accustomed to rapid results and individual achievement. But those who persist in the training report experiences that transform not just their understanding of Maya civilization, but their approach to knowledge itself. The Maya educational system seems designed to create not just experts in specific fields, but wise individuals who understand the relationships between different types of knowledge and the responsibilities that come with understanding. This transformational aspect of Maya learning has attracted attention from educators and philosophers who see in the ancient system potential solutions for contemporary educational challenges. Modern educational institutions often produce specialists who lack the broad understanding needed to address complex problems that span multiple disciplines. The Maya approach suggests ways of developing integrated knowledge that could better prepare individuals to handle the interconnected challenges of contemporary life. The underground chambers might offer more than just historical insights. They might provide models for educational systems that could help humanity develop the wisdom needed to navigate increasingly complex global challenges. Climate change, social inequality, technological disruption, and cultural conflict all require solutions that integrate technical knowledge with cultural understanding and ethical commitment. The Maya installations might hold keys to developing such integrated approaches to knowledge and wisdom. But realizing these possibilities requires patience, humility, and commitment to learning that extends far beyond academic curiosity or professional advancement. The Maya safeguards ensure that their knowledge will only be accessed by individuals who approach it with the respect and preparation it deserves. There are no shortcuts to understanding what lies beneath the jungle temples, only the slow, demanding path of genuine learning and personal transformation. As the research team continues their preparation, and the seismic scans reveal additional details about the underground installations, we stand at the threshold of discoveries that could transform our understanding of human potential and ancient wisdom. But the threshold itself is a teacher, and crossing it successfully requires more than just advanced technology or archaeological expertise. It requires becoming the kind of people the Maya builders intended their knowledge to serve. Individuals who understand that wisdom is not just about knowing facts, but about developing the character and commitment needed to use knowledge for the benefit of all life. The chambers beneath the Maya temples aren't just archaeological sites. They're mirrors that reflect our own readiness to handle the profound responsibilities that come with understanding the deepest secrets of human achievement. What we discover there will depend not just on our tools and techniques, but on who we become in the process of seeking to understand what our ancestors accomplished in the darkness beneath the jungle floor. And perhaps that transformation, from curious seekers to wise stewards of ancient knowledge, might be the most important discovery of all. The profound implications of these underground discoveries have begun to reshape not just Maya archaeology, but our entire understanding of what ancient civilizations were capable of achieving. As word spreads through academic circles and indigenous communities alike, a new narrative is emerging, one that challenges the fundamental assumptions Western scholarship has held about technological development, cultural sophistication, and the relationship between ancient wisdom and modern knowledge. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead archaeologist coordinating international research efforts, describes the shift in perspective that's occurring throughout her field. She tells me that conversations in university archaeology departments have completely changed over the past year. Where once discussions focused on the limitations of pre-Columbian technologies and the gradual development of Maya capabilities, now researchers are grappling with evidence of achievements that seem to surpass modern engineering in certain respects. The underground water management systems revealed by the seismic scans have particularly captured the attention of contemporary engineers. The precision of the flow calculations, the integration of multiple hydraulic functions within single installations, and the apparent sustainability of systems that operated for centuries without maintenance represent approaches to infrastructure design that modern cities struggle to achieve even with advanced materials and computer modeling. Professor David Kim, a hydraulic engineer from MIT, who has analyzed the seismic data, admits that his team's attempts to model the Maya underground water systems using contemporary software have failed to fully replicate their efficiency. The ancient engineers seem to have understood principles of fluid dynamics that modern hydrology is only beginning to discover through advanced computational analysis. But the water systems are just one example of Maya innovations that challenge contemporary technological assumptions. The acoustic properties of the underground chambers demonstrate understanding of sound engineering that rivals modern concert hall design. The astronomical alignments embedded in the chamber layouts show mathematical precision that requires calculation techniques more sophisticated than those documented in surviving Maya codices. Each new analysis reveals additional layers of complexity that push the boundaries of what scholars believed possible for ancient American civilizations. The underground installations aren't just impressive for their age, they represent achievements that would be remarkable even by contemporary standards. The implications for understanding human potential and the development of knowledge systems are profound and unsettling. This realization has sparked intense debate within academic communities about the nature of technological progress and cultural evolution. The traditional model that assumes steady advancement from primitive to sophisticated societies is being challenged by evidence of ancient achievements that seem to represent peaks of development that were later lost rather than gradually surpassed. Dr. Santos has become one of the most articulate voices arguing for a complete revision of how we understand the development of human civilization. She proposes that, rather than a linear progression from simple to complex, human societies might experience cycles of achievement and loss, with some ancient civilizations reaching levels of sophistication that were forgotten and only slowly rediscovered by later cultures. The Maya underground installations provide compelling evidence for this cyclical model of development. The sophisticated integration of multiple technologies within single installations suggests systematic approaches to knowledge that were later fragmented into separate disciplines. The apparent educational systems embedded in the chamber designs indicate pedagogical methods that might be more effective than contemporary approaches to learning and knowledge transmission. But perhaps most significantly, the evidence of deliberate concealment and protection of knowledge suggests that ancient civilizations understood something about the relationship between wisdom and responsibility that modern cultures have forgotten. The Maya safeguards weren't just protecting artifacts. They were ensuring that advanced knowledge would only be accessed by individuals who had developed the character and commitment needed to use it ethically. This insight has profound implications for how contemporary society approaches the development and application of advanced technologies. The Maya example suggests that technological capability without cultural wisdom and ethical foundation can be dangerous, not just to individual societies, but to human civilization as a whole. The underground chambers might represent humanity's first systematic attempt to create fail-safes against the misuse of advanced knowledge. The protective barriers, the educational requirements, and the integration of technical knowledge with spiritual wisdom all point to a civilization that understood the dangers of separating power from responsibility. Modern technological development often proceeds without such safeguards, driven by competition and profit rather than wisdom and long-term benefit. The Maya approach suggests alternative models where technological advancement is guided by ethical principles and integrated with cultural practices that ensure knowledge serves community welfare rather than individual ambition. The relevance of these ancient insights to contemporary challenges has attracted attention from ethicists, policymakers, and technology developers who are grappling with questions about artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, environmental management, and other fields where advanced capabilities require careful consideration of their implications for human welfare and planetary health. The Maya installations might offer more than just historical examples of alternative approaches to knowledge and technology. They might provide practical guidance for developing more responsible and sustainable ways of creating and applying advanced capabilities. The integration of technical innovation with cultural wisdom and ethical commitment that characterizes the underground systems could inform contemporary approaches to managing powerful technologies. But accessing this guidance requires more than just studying the physical remains of Maya installations. It requires understanding the knowledge systems that created them and the cultural practices that sustained them across centuries of development and use. This understanding can only be achieved through genuine engagement with the communities that have preserved Maya traditions and maintained connections to the wisdom embedded in these ancient systems. The research team has found that the most profound insights into the underground chambers come not from technological analysis alone, but from conversations with Maya elders and traditional knowledge holders who understand the cultural context within which these installations were created and used. Their perspectives provide essential guidance for interpreting the physical evidence and understanding its significance for contemporary applications. Don Carlos Morales has become an invaluable advisor to the research team, not just for his knowledge of traditional Maya culture, but for his understanding of how ancient wisdom relates to modern challenges. His insights into the relationships between technical knowledge and spiritual understanding have helped researchers appreciate the integrated nature of Maya approaches to learning and development. Through these collaborations, the research team has begun to understand that the underground chambers represent more than just remarkable engineering achievements. They embody a complete philosophy of knowledge that treats technical capability, cultural wisdom, and ethical commitment as inseparable aspects of true understanding. This integrated approach might be the most important lesson the chambers have to offer contemporary civilization. The implications extend far beyond academic research into practical applications for addressing modern challenges that require both technical innovation and cultural wisdom. Climate change adaptation strategies, sustainable development programs, and social justice initiatives all require approaches that integrate multiple types of knowledge and maintain long-term perspectives on human welfare and environmental health. The Maya model suggests ways of organizing knowledge systems that could better support such integrated approaches. Instead of separating technical, cultural, and ethical concerns into different domains managed by different institutions, the underground installations demonstrate methods for maintaining their integration within unified systems that serve community needs across generations. Educational systems designed according to Maya principles, might better prepare individuals to handle the complex challenges of contemporary life. Rather than producing specialists who understand narrow technical fields but lack broader cultural and ethical context, such systems could develop individuals who understand the relationships between different types of knowledge and the responsibilities that come with understanding. The potential applications are vast, but realizing them requires sustained commitment to learning from ancient wisdom while adapting it to contemporary contexts. The Maya chambers aren't museums that preserve obsolete knowledge. They're libraries that contain insights relevant to current challenges and future possibilities. But accessing those insights requires approaching them with the patience, humility, and commitment to transformation that the Maya builders embedded in their protective systems. As the research continues and new discoveries emerge from the ongoing analysis, we face a choice that will determine not just what we learn about the past, but how we shape the future. We can approach these underground treasures as curious observers, seeking to satisfy our fascination with ancient mysteries. Or we can engage with them as students seeking to develop the wisdom needed to create more just, sustainable, and fulfilling ways of life. The Maya chambers are testing us, just as they tested ancient initiates who sought to access their knowledge. The barriers aren't just physical obstacles to overcome, they're educational experiences designed to prepare us for the responsibilities that come with understanding. What we discover beneath the jungle temples will depend on who we become in the process of seeking to understand what our ancestors accomplished in those hidden depths. The choice is ours, but the window of opportunity continues to narrow with each passing day. The threats to these sites grow more serious as climate change accelerates, criminal activity increases, and political instability spreads throughout the region. The race against time to study and protect these installations has become urgent, not just for archaeological reasons, but for the sake of preserving knowledge that could help humanity navigate the challenges of an uncertain future. The seismic scans have revealed wonders that challenge our understanding of ancient capabilities and offer insights that could transform contemporary approaches to knowledge, technology, and community life. But the physical discoveries are just the beginning. The real treasures lie in understanding how the Maya integrated different types of knowledge into systems that served their communities across generations of change and challenge. Those treasures are still there, waiting beneath the jungle floor, protected by safeguards that ensure they'll only be accessed by individuals who approach them with the wisdom and commitment they require. The question isn't whether we'll eventually reach the chambers, it's whether we'll be ready to understand what we find when we get there. The path forward isn't just about developing better technology or securing more funding. It's about fundamentally changing how we approach the relationship between knowledge and wisdom, between discovery and responsibility. And that transformation is already beginning to happen in ways that extend far beyond the academic world. Maya communities throughout Central America have begun reporting unusual phenomena near ancient sites, subtle changes in the behavior of wildlife, shifts in local water patterns, and what elders describe as awakenings in places that have been quiet for generations. These reports don't fit conventional scientific categories, but they align remarkably well with traditional Maya beliefs about the interconnected nature of spiritual and physical realms. Dr. Chen's team has started documenting these reports systematically, not as curiosities, but as potential indicators of changes in the underground systems themselves. The seismic activity required for their scanning operations might have triggered responses in chamber mechanisms that have been dormant for centuries. Water levels in some areas have shifted in ways that correspond to the tunnel networks revealed in their scans. Local temperature variations follow patterns that match the underground chamber layouts. What's emerging is a picture of installations that weren't simply built and abandoned. They were designed as living systems that continue to interact with their environment in ways we're only beginning to understand. The Maya engineers didn't just construct underground chambers. They created integrated networks that respond to changes in surface conditions, seismic activity, and even human presence in ways that suggest a level of environmental integration that modern engineering rarely achieves. This responsiveness extends beyond physical systems to include what can only be described as information networks. Maya communities separated by hundreds of miles have begun reporting similar dreams, visions, and intuitive insights that seem to relate to the underground discoveries. Traditional knowledge holders who had no direct contact with the research team have started sharing information that corresponds remarkably well with details revealed by the seismic scans. Don Carlos Morales describes these phenomena as the remembering of the deep places, a reawakening of knowledge that has been dormant but not lost. His explanation draws on traditional Maya concepts of time and memory that treat the past not as something finished, but as a living force that continues to influence the present when conditions are right for its expression. From a scientific perspective, these reports present challenges that stretch the boundaries of conventional research methods. How do you study phenomena that seem to operate through mechanisms that current scientific models don't recognize? How do you evaluate information that comes through traditional knowledge systems rather than technological analysis? The research team has found that the most productive approach involves treating these different types of information as complementary rather than competing sources of insight. The seismic data provides precise details about physical structures, while traditional knowledge offers context for understanding their significance and function. Neither source alone provides complete understanding, but together they reveal patterns that pure technological or purely traditional approaches miss. This integration of different knowledge systems is producing insights that challenge fundamental assumptions about how information is transmitted and preserved across time. The Maya installations might represent more than just repositories of ancient knowledge. They could be components of communication systems that operate through mechanisms we don't yet understand, but that traditional cultures have maintained awareness of through generations of careful observation and practice. The implications for contemporary communication technology are staggering. If the Maya developed methods for transmitting information through environmental networks that integrate physical, biological, and what might be called consciousness-based channels, they might have achieved capabilities that modern digital systems, for all their sophistication, haven't matched. The underground installations could be components of communication networks that operated across vast distances and long periods of time with remarkable reliability and security. But understanding these systems requires approaches that combine rigorous scientific analysis with openness to phenomena that don't fit current scientific paradigms. The research team has found that the most significant breakthroughs come when they're willing to consider possibilities that challenge their existing assumptions about how ancient technologies might have worked. Dr. Morrison has become increasingly convinced that the Maya installations incorporate principles that modern engineering hasn't discovered or has forgotten. The acoustic properties of the chambers, the precision of their astronomical alignments, and the integration of multiple systems within single installations suggest understanding of relationships between different types of energy and information that contemporary science is only beginning to explore. His analysis of the structural engineering behind the underground chambers has revealed construction techniques that seem to violate conventional understanding of what's possible with stone and metal tools. The precision of the cuts, the stability of the spanning systems, and the apparent methods used for moving massive blocks into underground positions all point to capabilities that don't match traditional assumptions about pre-Columbian technology. The tools and methods required for such construction would have needed to be far more sophisticated than anything documented in the archaeological record. But rather than dismissing the evidence, Dr. Morrison has begun exploring alternative explanations that challenge fundamental assumptions about ancient technological capabilities. His preliminary conclusions suggest that the Maya might have developed approaches to materials science and energy manipulation that were later lost when their civilization underwent the disruptions of the Classic period collapse. These technical mysteries have attracted attention from researchers in fields far removed from traditional archaeology. Physicists studying the chamber acoustics have identified resonance patterns that seem designed to amplify specific frequencies while dampening others. The precision of these acoustic effects suggests understanding of sound physics that rivals modern concert hall engineering. Materials scientists analyzing samples from sites connected to the underground network have detected mineral compositions that don't match known geological formations in the region. The presence of these unusual materials in precisely the locations where the seismic scans indicate advanced construction suggests that the Maya might have developed techniques for modifying or enhancing natural materials in ways that improved their structural and functional properties. Energy researchers studying the astronomical alignments of the chambers have identified patterns that correspond to optimal conditions for solar and gravitational effects on sensitive instruments. The positioning of the installations seems designed to minimize interference from external energy sources while maximizing the stability and accuracy of whatever devices they might have contained. Each new area of investigation reveals additional layers of sophistication that push the boundaries of what scholars believed possible for ancient civilizations. But perhaps more importantly, these discoveries are forcing researchers to question fundamental assumptions about the nature of technological development and the relationship between ancient and modern knowledge systems. The traditional model assumes that technological capability develops gradually from simple to complex, with each generation building upon the achievements of its predecessors. But the Maya installations suggest a different pattern, one where sophisticated understanding developed through approaches that differed fundamentally from contemporary methods, but achieved results that modern technology struggles to match. This alternative model of development has profound implications for how we understand human potential and the possibilities for future technological advancement. Instead of assuming that current approaches represent the pinnacle of human achievement, the Maya discoveries suggest that there might be alternative paths to sophisticated understanding that we haven't explored or have forgotten. The integration of different types of knowledge within the Maya installations, technical, cultural, spiritual, and environmental, might represent approaches to learning and development that could offer solutions for contemporary challenges that purely technical approaches haven't been able to address. Climate change, social inequality, environmental degradation, and other complex problems might require the kind of integrated understanding that the Maya installations seem to embody. But accessing these alternative approaches requires more than just studying the physical remains of ancient installations. It requires developing the capacity to think in ways that integrate different types of knowledge and understanding, something that contemporary educational systems, with their emphasis on specialization and competition, often discourage rather than develop. The Maya preparation programs that the research team has developed are beginning to demonstrate that such integrated thinking is both possible and practical for contemporary individuals. Participants who complete the training report not just increased understanding of Maya culture, but fundamental shifts in how they approach problems in their professional and personal lives. Engineers discover new approaches to sustainable design that integrate technical efficiency with environmental harmony and community needs. Educators develop teaching methods that combine practical skills with cultural wisdom and ethical development. Scientists find ways to conduct research that serves community welfare while maintaining intellectual rigor and objectivity. These transformations suggest that the Maya installations offer more than just historical insights. They provide practical guidance for developing approaches to knowledge and problem solving that could address contemporary challenges more effectively than conventional methods. The underground chambers might be laboratories for exploring human potential in ways that pure technological advancement hasn't achieved. But realizing these possibilities requires sustained commitment to learning processes that are slow, demanding, and often uncomfortable for individuals accustomed to rapid results and clear answers. The Maya approach to knowledge development emphasizes patience, humility, and willingness to transform oneself in the process of understanding. qualities that contemporary culture often discourages in favor of quick expertise and individual achievement. The protective barriers embedded in the chamber systems aren't obstacles to overcome, but educational experiences designed to develop the qualities needed to handle advanced knowledge responsibly. The tests aren't about demonstrating existing expertise, but about developing new capacities for integrated understanding and ethical commitment. This educational dimension of the Maya installations has attracted attention from learning researchers who see in the ancient systems potential solutions for contemporary educational challenges. Modern schools and universities often produce individuals who know facts and techniques, but lack the wisdom and character needed to apply their knowledge for the benefit of their communities and the world. The Maya approach suggests methods for developing not just intellectual capability, but wisdom. The integration of knowledge with understanding, skill with character, individual achievement with community responsibility. Such integrated development might be essential for addressing challenges that require both technical innovation and ethical commitment to long-term welfare, rather than short-term gain. As the research continues and new insights emerge from the ongoing analysis, the underground chambers beneath the Maya temples are revealing themselves to be far more than archaeological curiosities. They're mirrors that reflect our own approaches to knowledge and learning, teachers that challenge us to develop new capacities for understanding, and laboratories where we can explore alternative models for organizing human knowledge and wisdom. The race against time to study and protect these installations has become a race to preserve not just ancient artifacts, but alternative visions of what human civilization could achieve through different approaches to learning, technology, and community life. The stakes extend far beyond academic research into questions about the future of human development and our capacity to address the challenges that threaten the stability of our planet and the welfare of future generations. What we discover beneath the jungle temples will depend not just on our tools and techniques, but on our willingness to be transformed by the process of seeking to understand what our ancestors achieved in those hidden depths. The Maya chambers are testing us, just as they tested ancient initiates, to determine whether we're ready to handle the responsibilities that come with profound understanding. The choice is ours, but the window of opportunity continues to narrow. The treasures waiting beneath the Maya temples aren't just artifacts and devices, they're possibilities for human development that could transform how we understand ourselves and our potential for creating more wise, just, and sustainable ways of life. Whether we're able to access those treasures will depend on whether we're willing to become the kind of people the Maya builders intended their knowledge to serve. The underground chambers hold their secrets in silence, waiting for visitors who approach them not as conquerors seeking to extract wealth, but as students ready to learn what wisdom means and how it can guide us toward a future worthy of the profound achievements our ancestors accomplished in the darkness beneath the jungle floor. As we stand at this crossroads between ancient wisdom and modern uncertainty, the Maya chambers force us to confront a question that extends far beyond archaeology. What does it truly mean to be ready for knowledge that could reshape civilization itself? Because the seismic scans have revealed something that makes even the most experienced researchers pause in wonder and concern. The protective systems embedded within these installations aren't just sophisticated, they're adaptive. Recent analysis has detected what can only be described as learning algorithms built into the stone itself. The barriers that guard the deepest chambers appear to adjust their requirements based on the approaches used by those attempting to access them. Force triggers increasingly complex obstacles. Patience and cultural understanding unlock pathways that lead deeper into the network. Dr. Chen's team has documented instances where the same physical passage yielded completely different results, depending on who attempted to navigate it and how they approached the challenge. Traditional archaeological methods, focused on extraction and cataloging, seem to activate defensive responses that seal off access routes. But when researchers approach with the integrated cultural and spiritual preparation that Maya traditions emphasize, entirely new pathways become accessible. This responsiveness suggests something that challenges our fundamental understanding of ancient technology. The Maya didn't just build static installations, they created interactive systems that could evaluate the intentions and capabilities of anyone who encountered them. These weren't primitive mechanisms operating on simple triggers. They were sophisticated interfaces designed to ensure that advanced knowledge would only be accessed by individuals who had developed the wisdom to use it responsibly. The implications ripple through every aspect of how we understand human potential and technological development. Modern artificial intelligence researchers spend billions of dollars trying to create systems that can adapt to user behavior and make complex evaluations about intentions and capabilities. Yet here, carved from stone over 1,000 years ago, we find evidence of installations that seem to achieve exactly these functions through methods we can't even begin to comprehend. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery is that the protective systems appear to be responding not just to individual researchers, but to the broader context of contemporary civilization itself. The barriers have become increasingly restrictive as news of the discoveries spreads and various groups with different motivations begin showing interest in the sites. Dr. Santos has documented correlations between global events and changes in the accessibility of different chamber levels. During periods of international conflict, certain pathways become completely impassable. When environmental destruction accelerates in regions near Maya sites, protective barriers activate that hadn't been triggered for centuries. It's as if the installations are monitoring the state of human civilization and adjusting their protections accordingly. This global responsiveness suggests that the underground networks might be components of monitoring systems that operate on scales we never imagined possible. The Maya builders might have created installations that could assess not just individual readiness for advanced knowledge, but the collective maturity of human civilization as a whole. The concept is both thrilling and terrifying. If the Maya developed the capability to monitor planetary conditions and human social development across centuries, they possessed understanding of complex systems that makes our most advanced global monitoring networks seem primitive by comparison. But if their assessments of current human readiness are accurate, the increasing restrictions on chamber access might reflect genuine concerns about our collective wisdom and ethical development. This possibility has sparked intense debate within the research team about the responsibilities that come with studying these installations. Are they simply documenting remarkable archaeological discoveries, or are they participating in a test that could determine whether humanity gains access to knowledge that could transform civilization? The weight of that responsibility is changing how they approach every aspect of their work. Dr. Morrison has found that his most significant breakthroughs in understanding the chamber engineering come not when he focuses on technical analysis, but when he considers the ethical implications of the systems he's studying. The installations seem designed to reward holistic thinking that integrates technical capability with moral development. They respond to researchers who demonstrate not just intellectual curiosity, but genuine commitment to using knowledge for the benefit of their communities and the world. This integration of technical and ethical evaluation within ancient protective systems offers insights that could revolutionize how contemporary society approaches the development and deployment of advanced technologies. Instead of assuming that technical capability automatically qualifies individuals or institutions to handle powerful tools, the Maya model suggests methods for ensuring that advanced knowledge is only accessed by those who have developed the wisdom to use it responsibly. The relevance of these ancient safeguards to contemporary challenges becomes more apparent with each new revelation about the sophistication of the underground systems. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and other emerging technologies offer capabilities that could transform human civilization for better or worse, depending on how they're developed and applied. Current approaches to managing these technologies rely primarily on regulation and oversight, external controls that try to limit misuse after capabilities have already been developed. But the Maya installations suggest alternative approaches that integrate ethical development with technical capability from the beginning, ensuring that advanced knowledge is only accessible to individuals who have demonstrated the character and commitment needed to handle it responsibly. The protective barriers embedded in the chamber systems aren't obstacles to be overcome, but educational experiences designed to develop the qualities needed for ethical leadership in a world of powerful technologies. They represent systematic approaches to ensuring that knowledge serves wisdom rather than merely satisfying curiosity or enabling exploitation. But implementing such integrated approaches in contemporary contexts requires fundamental changes in how we organize education, research, and technological development. The Maya model challenges the separation between technical training and character development that characterizes most modern institutions. It suggests that true expertise requires not just intellectual capability, but moral maturity, cultural understanding, and commitment to long-term welfare rather than short-term advantage. The underground chambers are teaching us that the most advanced technologies might be those that enhance rather than replace human wisdom and ethical judgment. Instead of creating systems that operate independently of human values and community needs, the Maya installations demonstrate approaches that integrate technical capability with cultural wisdom and spiritual insight in ways that serve the flourishing of life across generations. These lessons become increasingly urgent as the research team continues to document evidence of accelerating changes in the underground systems themselves. The installations that have remained stable for over 1,000 years are showing signs of activation that correspond to contemporary global conditions. Water levels are shifting in ways that align with climate change patterns. Acoustic properties are changing in response to increased seismic activity in the region. Even the protective barriers are evolving in ways that reflect current threats to the sites. The chambers appear to be preparing for something, either greater accessibility for those who demonstrate readiness, or deeper concealment to protect their contents from those who would misuse them. The direction these changes take might depend on how humanity responds to the challenges of learning from ancient wisdom while addressing contemporary crises. Dr. Chen has detected energy signatures within several chambers that suggest systems are coming online that have been dormant for centuries. These aren't random activations, but coordinated responses that follow patterns embedded in Maya astronomical calculations. The timing corresponds to celestial alignments that the Maya associated with periods of transformation and renewal, moments when hidden knowledge emerges to guide civilizations through times of crisis. The convergence of these ancient predictions with contemporary discoveries creates a sense of standing at a threshold that extends far beyond archaeological research. The Maya installations might be revealing themselves now because their builders understood that this would be when their knowledge would be most needed, when human civilization would face challenges that require the integration of technical capability with wisdom that transcends narrow self-interest. But crossing that threshold requires more than just technological sophistication or academic credentials. It demands the kind of personal and collective transformation that enables individuals and communities to handle profound responsibilities with wisdom and commitment to the welfare of all life. The Maya protective systems ensure that their knowledge will only be accessed by those who have demonstrated such transformation through sustained commitment to learning and growth. The research team has found that the most profound insights into the underground installations come not from trying to bypass or overcome the protective barriers, but from allowing those barriers to teach them what they need to learn. The challenges embedded in the chamber systems are designed to develop exactly the qualities needed to understand and apply Maya knowledge responsibly. This educational dimension of the protective systems has transformed the research process from a race to extract information into a journey of personal and collective development. Team members report that studying the chambers has changed not just their understanding of Maya civilization, but their approaches to their own lives and work. The installations teach by example, demonstrating integration of knowledge and wisdom that participants find themselves naturally adopting. The transformation extends beyond individual researchers to the communities involved in protecting and studying the sites. Maya villages that have partnered with the research team report renewal of traditional practices that had been dormant for generations. Young people who had been leaving for cities are returning to learn from elders about ancestral knowledge systems. Educational programs that combine traditional wisdom with contemporary skills are emerging throughout the region. These cultural renewals suggest that the underground installations are serving their intended function, not just preserving ancient knowledge, but catalyzing the development of wisdom that can address contemporary challenges. The chambers aren't museums displaying obsolete artifacts, but active teachers that continue to guide human development in ways that honor both ancient achievements and current needs. The success of these community-based approaches has attracted attention from educators and policymakers worldwide, who see in the Maya model potential solutions for challenges that conventional institutions haven't been able to address effectively. The integration of traditional wisdom with contemporary knowledge, the emphasis on character development alongside technical training, and the focus on community welfare rather than individual advancement offer alternatives to educational and economic systems that often produce expertise without wisdom. But implementing such alternatives requires sustained commitment to learning processes that challenge fundamental assumptions about progress, success, and the relationship between individual achievement and collective welfare. The Maya chambers demand patience, humility, and willingness to be transformed by the process of seeking to understand, qualities that contemporary culture often discourages in favor of rapid results and competitive advantage. The underground installations are testing our collective readiness for knowledge that could reshape civilization itself. They're asking whether we've developed the wisdom needed to handle capabilities that could either enhance human flourishing or enable unprecedented destruction. The answer to that test will determine not just what we discover beneath the jungle temples, but what kind of future we create for ourselves and the generations who will inherit the consequences of our choices. As the seismic scans continue to reveal new layers of complexity within the underground networks, each discovery brings us closer to understanding the true scope of what the Maya achieved and what their knowledge could offer to contemporary civilization. But accessing that knowledge requires becoming the kind of people their protective systems were designed to recognize. Individuals who have integrated technical capability with cultural wisdom and ethical commitment in service of life's flourishing. The race against time to study these installations has become a race to develop the collective wisdom needed to handle the profound responsibilities that come with understanding. The Maya chambers are waiting, their secrets protected by safeguards that ensure their knowledge will only serve those who approach it with the reverence and commitment it deserves. Whether we prove worthy of that trust will determine whether we unlock treasures that could guide us toward a future of unprecedented wisdom and flourishing, or whether those treasures remain hidden until humanity develops the maturity to use them wisely. The choice is ours, but the window of opportunity continues to narrow as the threats to these sites grow more serious and the global challenges that require integrated solutions become more urgent. The underground chambers beneath the Maya temples hold more than artifacts and ancient devices. They hold possibilities for human development that could transform how we understand ourselves and our potential for creating sustainable, just, and fulfilling ways of life. The Maya builders left us more than hidden installations. They left us a mirror that reflects our own readiness for wisdom and a teacher that can guide us toward becoming worthy of the profound knowledge they preserved for those courageous enough to undertake the transformation required to access it. The journey into those depths begins not with technology or force, but with the commitment to become the kind of people who can handle profound responsibility with wisdom, compassion, and unwavering dedication to the welfare of all life. The chambers are calling, but they're calling not just to our curiosity, but to our highest potential as conscious beings capable of learning, growing, and using knowledge in service of something greater than ourselves. Whether we answer that call with the depth of commitment it requires will determine what we discover in the darkness beneath the jungle floor and what kind of light we bring back to illuminate the challenges of our time. The weight of these revelations settles over us like the humid air above the jungle canopy. We've journeyed through seismic scans that pierce the earth like X-rays through flesh, revealing chambers that shouldn't exist, networks that challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient capabilities. We've witnessed protective systems that seem to think, to judge, to respond to our intentions with intelligence that defies our understanding of what stone and metal should be able to accomplish. But perhaps what's most profound about these discoveries beneath the Maya temples isn't what they tell us about the past. It's what they're demanding of us right now, in this moment, as we stand at the threshold of potentially accessing knowledge that could reshape human civilization itself. Dr. Rodriguez has spent the last 3 months analyzing the global response to news of the underground installations, and what she's found is both encouraging and deeply troubling. Universities worldwide have begun developing interdisciplinary programs that attempt to integrate technical training with ethical development, following the model suggested by the Maya protective systems. Indigenous communities are reporting renewed interest from younger generations in traditional knowledge systems that had been declining for decades. But alongside this awakening, she's also documented a surge in illegal excavation attempts, corporate interests seeking to exploit the discoveries for profit, and government agencies viewing the installations as potential sources of technological advantage over rival nations. The very revelation of these chambers has triggered exactly the kind of competition and exploitation that their protective systems seem designed to prevent. This creates a paradox that keeps the research team awake at night. The knowledge needed to address humanity's greatest challenges, climate change, social inequality, sustainable development, conflict resolution, might be waiting in those sealed chambers. But accessing it requires demonstrating the collective wisdom and ethical commitment that our species often seems to lack precisely when it matters most. The Maya builders understood something that we're only beginning to grasp: that advanced knowledge without corresponding wisdom is not progress, but danger. They created systems that could evaluate not just individual readiness, but the broader context of civilization itself. And if their assessments are accurate, the increasing restrictions on chamber access might reflect genuine concerns about our collective maturity. Don Carlos Morales has become increasingly convinced that the underground installations are responding to what he calls the Great Test, a moment when humanity must choose between wisdom and mere cleverness, between knowledge that serves all life and expertise that serves only power. The protective barriers aren't obstacles, he insists, but teachers preparing us for responsibilities we've never had to handle before. The seismic data continues to reveal new details about the scope and sophistication of these underground networks. Recent scans suggest tunnels that extend not just between major Maya sites, but possibly beneath the ocean floor itself, connecting the Yucatan Peninsula with installations in Belize, Guatemala, and even the Caribbean islands. The engineering requirements for such construction would exceed anything in the historical record, implying coordination and capability that transforms our understanding of what ancient civilizations could achieve. But Dr. Chen has also detected something that makes her voice drop to barely a whisper when she describes it. The installation systems are changing in real time, responding to current global conditions in ways that suggest monitoring capabilities we can barely comprehend. As deforestation accelerates in the Amazon, certain chamber pathways become less accessible. When international conflicts intensify, protective barriers activate that haven't been triggered in centuries. It's as if the underground networks are connected to planetary systems we don't understand, monitoring the health of ecosystems, the stability of social structures, even the collective psychological state of human civilization. The Maya didn't just build repositories for their knowledge. They created responsive systems that could evaluate whether humanity deserves access to capabilities that could either heal or devastate our world. This realization has forced the research team to confront questions that extend far beyond archaeology. Are we studying ancient sites, or are ancient sites studying us? Are we discovering lost knowledge, or is lost knowledge evaluating our worthiness to receive it? The chambers beneath the Maya temples have become mirrors that reflect our own intentions, teachers that respond to our approaches, judges that assess our readiness for responsibilities we've never imagined. The implications ripple through every aspect of how we understand the relationship between knowledge and power, between discovery and wisdom. The Maya installations suggest that true advancement isn't about accumulating information or developing more sophisticated technologies. It's about integrating knowledge with character, capability with compassion, individual achievement with collective welfare. Modern civilization has created remarkable tools for manipulating matter and energy, for processing information and communicating across vast distances. But we've struggled to develop corresponding wisdom for using these tools in ways that serve the flourishing of all life, rather than the advantage of the few. The underground chambers offer glimpses of alternative approaches where technical sophistication emerged from and remained integrated with cultural wisdom and ethical commitment. As news of the discoveries spreads and various groups with different agendas begin positioning themselves to influence or exploit the research, the protective systems embedded in the installations have become increasingly active. Pathways that were accessible just months ago now require demonstrations of cultural understanding and ethical commitment that many researchers find impossible to meet. The chambers are teaching us that the most advanced knowledge comes not to those who demand it, but to those who prove worthy of it through sustained commitment to learning, growth, and service to something greater than themselves. The protective barriers aren't punishing our ambition, they're refining it, ensuring that whatever we discover serves wisdom rather than merely satisfying curiosity or enabling exploitation. Dr. Santos has found references in late Maya texts to what she translates as the final opening, a time when the deep places would reveal their greatest secrets to those who had learned to see beyond their own immediate needs. The timing descriptions in these texts correspond remarkably well with current astronomical alignments and global conditions, suggesting the Maya understood that this would be when their knowledge would be most needed and when humanity might finally be ready to receive it. But readiness, according to these ancient sources, isn't measured by technological sophistication or academic credentials. It's evaluated through demonstrated commitment to justice, compassion, and long-term thinking that considers the welfare of future generations. The protective systems ensure that only those who embody these qualities can access the deepest levels of the installations. The research team has found that their most significant breakthroughs come not when they try to overcome or bypass these requirements, but when they embrace them as opportunities for growth and transformation. The chambers demand that we become better versions of ourselves as the price of accessing ancient wisdom, and that transformation turns out to be the most valuable discovery of all. As we stand at this threshold between ancient knowledge and contemporary need, between curiosity and wisdom, the underground chambers beneath the Maya temples continue to whisper their secrets to those patient enough to listen and humble enough to learn. They're not just archaeological sites, they're active teachers that continue to guide human development in ways their builders intended, ensuring that their most profound knowledge serves the flourishing of all life rather than the ambitions of the few. The seismic scans have revealed chambers filled with wonders that could revolutionize our understanding of human potential and ancient achievement. But the greatest discovery might be the realization that accessing those wonders requires becoming the kind of people worthy of the profound responsibilities that come with understanding. The Maya builders left us more than hidden treasures. They left us a path toward wisdom that could transform not just our knowledge, but our very nature as conscious beings capable of growth, compassion, and service to the greater good. The race against time continues, but it's no longer just about reaching the chambers before they're damaged or destroyed. It's about developing the collective wisdom needed to handle what we might find when we get there. The underground installations are waiting, their secrets protected by safeguards that ensure they'll only serve those who approach them with the reverence, patience, and commitment to transformation that true wisdom requires. What we discover beneath the jungle temples will depend not just on our tools and techniques, but on who we become in the process of seeking to understand what our ancestors accomplished in those hidden depths. The Maya chambers are calling to our highest potential, inviting us to join a tradition of knowledge that serves life itself. Whether we prove worthy of that invitation will determine what treasures we unlock and what kind of future we create for generations yet to come. The journey into those depths begins not with seismic scanners or archaeological permits, but with the commitment to grow into people capable of handling profound knowledge, with wisdom, compassion, and unwavering dedication to the welfare of all life. The chambers are ready to teach us, but only if we're ready to be transformed by what we learn. And that transformation, from curious seekers to wise guardians of ancient knowledge, might be the most important discovery waiting for us in the darkness beneath the Maya temples.